Hello everyone, welcome back to another video where we're fitting another mod. Today's mod is flipper cooling fans. Something that a friend of mine has put together. Really nice little mod. They're actually on my Black Knight, which I'll show you in a minute. We'll take the playfield up and have a look. The reason I'm doing this now is because I've actually sold the Black Knight. It's going away, so I thought I'd get these fitted to my Iron Maiden while I have the other game to refer off. Even though these do come with very clear instructions and they're not very difficult to fit, I thought, just useful to have a reference game to get on with. Funny story, it happened because I loaned Black Knight to the chap who put these together. He's called Wayne Johns, and as part of the deal he put them on my Black Knight while he had the game, and also a 2 billion point high score, which I'm never going to knock off, but like I say, the game's leaving me anyway. So yeah, what we'll do is we'll get the playfields up on both games and then we'll look at getting these installed. Okay, so that's both games with both playfields up, and as you can see, here's the ones that Wayne put on, which nicely attach to the two flippers. And then he's run a cable down here, and that then connects up into the back box. So you just want to cable tie it in. I do have some cable ties, so I'll do that neatly. And here is Iron Maiden pre-flipper cooling fans fitted with its standard stock underside. So we'll get those fitted then, and I'll maybe do a little bit while we're fitting them to see how it goes. But shouldn't be too difficult with a reference machine to do it off. Back shortly. So now that I've unbagged or unboxed the kit, I just thought I'd show you what you get in it. So effectively you get your wire to hook it up into the back box. You get your cooling fans. These effectively look like a 3D printed sort of housing with the fan inside, and then a nice chunk of metal that the coil, I'm assuming, goes around. We get some 3D printed clips to hold it in place. We even actually get given the cable ties, which is nice. I didn't think I would include those. And we get some instructions, basically a bit of blurb on this side of how they work, and then a bit of blurb on this side of what's actually required to put them in, which isn't too complicated. The blurb's nice. It just basically says, do you need them? And I borrowed a Godzilla off Wayne with these installed, and you do notice the difference. The flippers stay snappier for longer, so worth putting on. So we'll get these installed and see how we go. So first error I've made, and this is what you're going to discover following the instructions, and obviously having a reference game like this if you happen to have one. This cable does look like it goes up into the back box, but it actually loops around and it connects here to the CN2, I think it is. Let me just double check the instructions. Yep, CN2 connector here. So if we come over to Iron Maiden, that is where I've put it in, and it's just the connector just here, and I've threaded it into the sort of the cable tie things included in the back box. I might slacken that off a little bit, but it looks pretty similar to what Wayne's done. And then he's just kept it nice and tidy by threading it up there. There's a quick connect here, so if you need to, for some reason, take the playfield out, you can just unplug it, which is a nice touch. So we will carry on. Next bit of the instructions is fairly simple, which is just place the clips under the coils like this. As you can see, if we compare, that's going to hold the boxes in place. Not too difficult, they just slide under. You don't have to remove the coils or anything, but you may want to, if you find it's a tight fit, just unscrew the base plates slightly to get them in a bit easier, but I had no problem just sliding them in and twisting them round, so they got in with no issue. So next we'll get the actual fans on themselves. So just a little addendum to this point, actually, after talking to Wayne, and I'm out the garage now, so I have some cardboard pinball machines and the essential Thin Lizzy instead. The reason that I was able to slide the clips under with no issues is because Iron Maiden actually has smaller flipper coils than most games, ever so slightly. So if you are fitting these to probably any other game other than Iron Maiden, it will have normal size coils. you're going to have to take the coils off to get the clips underneath. Wayne says he does actually have some smaller clips for games with smaller coils, but they were sort of a prototype, and he said he'd maybe look for some to see if I could fit them on my game. But honestly, this was also the reason why they were hanging slightly. That might be upcoming. You'll see that in a bit, where I sort of say, oh, I've put them on, but the clips aren't quite tight and they're hanging. So, but he said that's fine. So there was a couple of solutions. You can cable tie them down. You could put something between them just to pad them in place to stop them. But honestly, I did look afterwards and they're okay. He just said it would affect the efficiency ever so slightly. So just a little addendum, and now back to the actual video. Okay, so that's the fans fitted to both games. Really easy again, just had to pop the things over the top and make sure that the plastic sort of ring came around. They fit into little holes on the other side. The only thing I've noticed is, so with these ones, these are, if I give them a little wiggle, fairly tight into the flipper coils, whereas these ones, very, very loose, lots of play. So I don't know if there's something I can do about that. I'm going to see if I can think about something, but for now I'm just going to see if I can hold them in place with the wires. But doesn't look like there's anything wrong. The only thing I noticed was when putting these in, you may just have to move the wires to the actual coils out of the way slightly, but otherwise pretty painless process to put those in. So next bit will be the wiring. So again, fairly painless job, really easy. I just followed what Wayne did with the instructions, will tell you this. Ran the wires up to the top, cable tied them into pretty much the main loom that runs down the left hand side. It then sort of vanishes underneath, and you can see it just sort of sits lightly. I did put a cable tie back here, which Wayne hasn't. This just seems to sit loose in Black Knight. And then it follows the clips on the side and comes into here. So now will be the power on to see if the fans actually kick in. Oh, and if anyone's got an Iron Maiden Pro and could let me know, what is this chip in a bag just hanging loose at the bottom? It seems a bit odd. Something I discovered while I was putting the wiring loom in. But anyway, let's just power the game on and see if we're all good to go. Okay, so that's the game up and running. I've just started a single player with the volume off just to see. It's very hard to tell, I will be honest, but they do appear to be in and up and running, so a bit difficult to see. You can see the right one there and the left one there. I wouldn't recommend this, but if you do sort of stick your hand under the fan, you can feel some wind, like loose amount of wind blowing, which indicates the fans are working. They don't seem to kick in until you start the game. So that is going to keep your flippers nice and snappy, and your long games, you're going to have nice, easy ramp shots for much longer, ideally. So I'd really recommend them. £50 for a pair. They go on the lower two flippers only. There is a little bit in his guide saying I don't do them for 3 or 4 flipper games because it's pointless, which I kind of agree with. And I'd really recommend them as a little upgrade. Super easy to fit. Took me maybe 15 minutes, probably 5 if you're not filming, or 10. The hardest bit being to get the actual fans around the flippers. Got a few more jobs to do on Iron Maiden. I don't know if I'll bother documenting them, but as you can see and hear the train going by, back box lights don't work. I found someone who can fix that. I'm just waiting for them to get back to me. What else? The back button on the menu buttons don't work. I've got another one of those coming. Got a little coffin to fit over here. Might do that at some stage. And the game probably just needs a bit of a clean. You can see the flippers are a bit black, but otherwise all good. And I think next will be a gameplay of Black Knight that goes up before it goes. So thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, see you around. So, addendum, I suppose. I wasn't completely happy with how loose the boxes on the flippers were sitting, and I think the whole point of how these work, or at least how I understand why you need to design them, is if you look underneath, there's a big chunk of metal, and that is what goes nicely around the slightly bigger coils and keeps them cool. It's the fan blowing cool air onto them, keeping them cool, etc. And obviously with these coils, they don't fit quite as well. You lose a little bit of efficiency, like I said, Wayne said, but otherwise they're going to work. I wasn't totally happy with how loose they were sitting, so quick trip to B&Q, Got a pack of 295mm cable ties in white, and just cable tied each end, and now they sit much better, not so wobbly on the flipper thing. So if you do have a game with slightly smaller coils, just cable tie them like this, or do speak to Wayne. Like I said, he did mention he had prototype plastic bits that will make them fit more snugly. But all in all, well, happy with that. And with that, that is the end. So until next time, guys, see you around.